All right, what we have here is more difficult triangle examples. Remember when we're working with the triangle, the angles inside have to add up to 180 degrees. And then the other rule we learned was this exterior angle rule, where this angle here, 150, is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. So this one's maybe 120 and this one's 30. I usually call that the firework rule, firecracker, because it goes far away. So those are the two rules we know. We know that inside three angles add up to 180. And then we know that this outside angle equals the sum of the two remote interior angles. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at this first example. You should make sure you're writing them down. These are angles inside a triangle, so I'm going to add them up. To kind of save time and space, I'm going to add up the x's before I go in there. So 2x, 2x, and 1x is 5x. And then I have a -4, a 19, and a -15. Well, a -4 and a -15 is -19, and a -19 and a +19, so they just cross off. So I get 5x is equal to 180. So I divide both sides by 5, and I get x is 36. Now if you notice, that's not what the question's asking. The question's asking you to find the measure of each angle. So what I have to do now is I'm going to have to plug it in. So the measure of angle A is going to equal 2 times x, which is 36, minus 4. So 2 times 36 minus 4 is 68. The measure of angle B is x, so 36 plus 19. Oops. 36 plus 19 is 55. So the measure of angle B is 55. The measure of angle C is going to be 2 times x, so 2 times 36 minus 15. And that gives me 57. Now a good way to check in the end is if you've done it right, is if you add up 68, 55, and 57, and since they add up to 180, we did the problem correctly. Okay, so what we're going to do here, this is our remote exterior angle rule. Get a different marker. And so what this is saying is that this exterior angle is the same as these. And so we're going to add those up, and we get 12 and a -1, which are 12 and a -11, which is just a 1. I do want to change something because I know that it's different on your actual note page, is that this actually here should be a negative. So it should be a -25. Otherwise, we're going to get a problem that doesn't work out, but your notes has it correctly. I just have it wrong on here. And so now I'm going to minus 2x on both sides. And so I get x minus 25 is equal to 1. And then I'm going to add 25 on both sides. So I was able to solve for x, and I got 26. And then I go back just to read it, and this problem does say just solve for x, so we're done. So again, when you have an exterior angle, it equals the two angles that are far away from it, those two remote interior angles. All right, let's go to the next problem. Okay, so for this next problem, I have a lot of blank angles, but you have a lot of information you know previous of this. Over here, let me draw some things that you're going to look for. You're always going to look for vertical angles. So if I have a top that's 50, the bottom is 50. The other thing that you guys need to start looking for is things that make a linear pair. So if this is 100, then I know that the other angle is going to be 80 because 180 minus 100. So even though we're out of some of those basic things, we're still going to apply those concepts all year. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in my vertical angles. So here's a 65, and here's a 102. And then if you notice, these make a straight line. So I could do 180 minus 65, and that will give me 115. And so these are vertical, so that's also 115. Change colors for the other side. And then these also make 180. So 180 minus 102 is 78. So this is also 78 because it's vertical. The next part is the only part that gets a little tricky to see. What you need to visualize is this triangle right here. And remember, when you have a triangle, the three angles inside of a triangle add up to 180. So 65 plus 78, that is 143. And then I do 180 minus 143, and that's going to give me 37. So this angle up top is 37. And now if you know this top angle in the triangle, you know that this is 37 also because of vertical. And then now I can do my subtraction, 180 minus 37, and I get 143 on the left and 143 on the right. But remember, you always look for vertical angles and linear pairs first. All right, this last problem over here is the same idea, except I have vertical angles here and here, but I don't know what either of them are. So that doesn't help me out. But if you notice, I do have this triangle right here. And the three angles inside of a triangle add up to 180. So I could do 63 plus 58. And that's going to give me 121. And then I do 180 minus 121. And that gives me 59. So that tells me that this angle here is 59, which means this angle here is also 59 because they're vertical angles. And then the last thing you have is I have this triangle up top. And so those angles inside of a triangle also add up to 180. So I'm going to do 47 plus 59, which is going to give me 106. And then I do 180 minus 106, which gives me 74. So for these problems, it's not as hard solving for x, it's just knowing what you have and looking for vertical angles and linear pairs.